We need to get rid of all of the money that we're wasting on NDP Liberal activists, on corrupt pharmaceutical companies that are profiting off of this death and misery, and put all of those resources into treatment and recovery. We also need to sue the pharmaceutical companies rather than giving them more tax dollars.
It's a crazy time in Canada, right? As we learn about these Canadian federal politics right here on Question Period Canada. My name's Aaron. Let's get into this crazy video, man. It doesn't slow down in Canadian federal politics. Let's take a peek.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Good to be with you.
Do you have any confidence the changes that BC has asked for will make decriminalization better, or is the only solution here just to get out of this pilot entirely?
The only solution is to completely reverse the Trudeau NDP radical experiment of legalizing drugs and letting people smoke meth in hospital rooms and blow the smoke in the face of nurses, of letting addicts shoot up heroin next to children in parks. From the very beginning, this was a radical, senseless Trudeau NDP experiment that was doomed for death and destruction, and sadly, the data shows that that's exactly what it has caused.
One of the issues too is there is very little data on how this was even working, but the examples you mentioned, drug supply, that's not impacted by decrim. Smoke in the face of nurses will likely change because of these changes. Do you believe that someone should be able to possess small amounts of hard drugs in their home and feel that they can call and ask for help without knowing that they may get arrested for doing so?
Should people feel like they can call and ask for help without getting arrested? Of course. That's not what this does. That has always been possible before decriminalization, and it's possible all over North America to call and ask for help, but only in one place in all of North America is it legal to use crack, heroin, meth on SkyTrains, in parks where children play, in hospitals where nurses now can't breastfeed their kids because they've inhaled meth fumes. Only in the wild and radical experiment of Trudeau and the NDP has this been possible, and the results are a nightmare.
The amendments would change those examples you mentioned, though. One of the things BC is attempting to do is put in treatment beds, but they've failed largely. They can't get enough nurses, they can't get enough facilities. What would you do differently to support provinces around treatment, and how would you ensure that the resources are there to do it properly?
The problem is that Trudeau and the NDP are spending all the money on radical activists and greedy, corrupt pharmaceutical companies, all of whom have profited off of this nightmare. And I would cut all of that. I'd stop funding the radical activists, bureaucrats, and pharmaceutical companies who are making a fortune and perpetuating their own industry. And I would put that money into real treatment and recovery so that we can detox, counsel, give group therapy, physical exercise, and bring our loved ones home drug-free.
Well, who are the radicals that you're describing?
All of the people that they're being funded by the NDP and Liberals to give out hard heroin-grade opioids, and who have been advocating for this and profiting from this radical policy that no other place in all of North America is doing. So we need to cut off those radicals and fire the people, the NDP Liberal activists in the public health bureaucracy who have helped cause this mayhem and enabled Trudeau and Eby to bring in a policy that has killed 2,500 people in 1 year alone.
So in that vein, a radical would be Dr. Bonnie Henry. She has advocated to have a safer supply of drugs, to make this available for drug users.
I have to correct you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You seem to be repeating NDP Liberal talking points.
Well, I don't think they mentioned Bonnie Henry here, do they?
They do use the dishonest and inaccurate term and fully discredited term, safe supply, if I could,
I appreciate this.
to describe unsafe heroin-grade drugs that everyone now admits, what they used to deny, are ending up in the hands of kids. That is not, whatever Justin Trudeau and the NDP say, that is not safe.
So you're correct on that. And we have seen a surge in diversion, and Global BC has done a huge series of stories on diversion.
I will give you credit, because Global has done some very good journalism on this.
So let's talk about regulated supply then. Let's use that term, because that's how the province wants to describe it. I know drugs aren't safe in most situations. So let's talk about regulated supply. Dr. Bonnie Henry has called for it. The chief coroner in BC, Lisa Lapointe, she just left her job, but she had called for it as well. What do you know that they don't know around the impacts around this regulated drug market? Do you know better than they do when it comes to this policy?
I know what everybody knows. The result. The results are clear. The results are in. And it's been an absolute deadly disaster that has killed 2,500 people, for which Trudeau and the NDP and all of the activists and bureaucrats that work for them are to blame. We need to cut off the corrupt pharmaceutical companies, the Liberal NDP bureaucrats and activists, and put all of the resources into treatment and recovery to bring our loved ones home drug-free.
Are you worried about finding the nurses, the space? Our healthcare system everywhere is already taxed.
True.
Like how challenging will that be to find that part of the healthcare system, the support it needs?
Oh, it'll definitely be a challenge, and that's why we need to get rid of all of the money that we're wasting on NDP, Liberal activists, on corrupt pharmaceutical companies that are profiting off of this death and misery, and put all of those resources into treatment and recovery. We also need to sue the pharmaceutical companies rather than giving them more tax dollars, to hold them accountable and collect millions and hopefully billions of dollars in liabilities from them for having caused this in the first place. The Americans have collected $54 billion from Big Pharma because of the opioid crisis. In Canada, the NDP and Trudeau, they don't collect money from pharma. They're giving them more money to profit them by buying even more of the heroin-grade opioids and give them out in our streets. That is radical, and it is deadly.
We've also seen an increase in crime linked to all of this. Mm-hmm. The stories are well told. The last time we had a conversation, you brought up the example of an individual who has been arrested again and again and again. Yeah. We just saw a case recently in British Columbia. We don't know if it's drug-related, but somebody who stole a car, violent carjacking, got put behind bars, got released, the next day did the same thing again. Mm-hmm. The bail reforms that Ottawa's brought in are clearly not working here. Would you bring in the notwithstanding clause to use your powers if Prime Minister to change those bail conditions to stop this catch and release system that's currently in place?
I don't have to, because the catch and release system was not brought in by the courts. It was brought in by Justin Trudeau and the NDP through Bill C-75, and it was not required. No court has ever required they create a catch and release bail system. Now, my common sense plan is to make repeat violent offenders who are newly arrested on a serious crime ineligible for bail. It will be jail, not bail, jail, not bail.
Is there any point that you would use the notwithstanding clause to address the challenges within our current legal system and the way the courts are designed?
I think we have to be careful not to blame the judges for decisions that Justin Trudeau and the NDP have made. Trudeau willingly passed Bill C-75, catch and release bail. He willingly passed C-5, house arrest for career car thieves and sex offenders. He willingly passed Bill C-83, which allows Paul Bernardo to go into a medium security penitentiary where he enjoys hockey rinks and tennis courts. Those are decisions he made. Nobody forced him to make it. And the NDP was there to drive the getaway car every single time.
You know full well decrim has been a massive issue in BC. It is influencing the way that voters are thinking as we head to an election in the fall. You're also aware that we have two parties very much opposed to it like you are, BC United and the Conservatives. Do you have any intention to get involved in provincial politics? Considering right now, if you look at polls, there's going to be vote splitting that will open the door for David Eby to get re-elected. Do you have any plan to tell Conservatives in British Columbia which of those two parties you prefer?
I don't. I think that the people of BC should reject the radical and costly carbon tax, catch and release, and legalization of drugs that both the BC NDP and Justin Trudeau are imposing, and elect a common sense government to replace both of them in BC and here in Ottawa.
You talked about costly. Pipeline politics is big in BC as well. The Trans Mountain Pipeline just started moving things yesterday. Huge delays largely caused by the BC government.
Yeah.
If you were Prime Minister, what would you do around energy projects? Would you go back to the table to some of those projects that the Prime Minister rejected when it comes to moving oil out of Alberta?
Well, you can't, so you need companies to do that. So I can't force a company to come back and put aside billions of dollars when they've already been ripped off by the government. But what I will do is repeal Trudeau's unconstitutional anti-resource law, Bill C-69, so that we can stop sending dollars to dictators abroad and instead bring paychecks for our people at home. So I will approve pipelines, mines, forestry, nuclear, hydroelectric dams, so that we can unleash production of our resources instead of the NDP Liberal policy, which is to encourage more pollution around the world by buying the resources from dirty dictators abroad.
Alex Jones, well-known commentator in the States, has said that he would like to see you as Prime Minister. He endorses you. He's also someone who peddled conspiracy theories around the murder of children at Sandy Hook Elementary. Do you accept his endorsement, the idea that he would like for you to be the Prime Minister?
No. And I don't listen to his, I don't listen to him. The only person that talks about and promotes him is Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau has really gotten into promoting a lot of conspiracy theories. And he is, I think, Canada's top conspiracy theorist. This is from a guy who dressed up in racist costumes so many times he can't remember them all, who is now causing death and destruction by legalizing crack, heroin, and cocaine in BC, who lets out repeat violent offenders, says he admires the basic Chinese communist dictatorship, has doubled our national debt, doubled housing costs, now wants to force a 61 cent a litre carbon tax on Canadians. That's the kind of radical extremism that we have in our Prime Minister, and he is the one that should reject his and repent for his radicalism, so that we can bring home a common sense government that will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you very much. Great to be with you.
So yes, come and join the gang. I'm Aaron. This is Question Period Canada. We do wonder about a lot of things here. We have a fun community where we watch the live question periods daily. That's a great time. Come and check out one of the live shows. We make all these other videos. I'm just gonna show you what I'm learning. You can judge for yourself. That's the idea. I care about Canadians in the grocery store lineups that can no longer afford their bills. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to learn about Canadian federal politics right here. Like, learn, subscribe, share, get notified. Getting notified is important for those live shows. It really is. You'll enjoy the community. Anyways, crazy times in Canada. Till the next video, thank you for watching this one. Have something healthy to eat. Try to stay warm. We'll catch you next one. Thanks for watching this. Ciao, guys.